It's common for farmers to always want to find ways to improve and be better on the farm. Well, that same philosophy probably goes for Farm Bureau members as well. Hi, I'm Steve Ammerman, Director of Communications for New York Farm Bureau, and welcome to News Bytes. I'm not going out on a limb to say Eileen Jensen really is a rock star amongst our members. She's a great communicator. She's been involved at every level of the state organization. She's had national success at the Young Farmer and Ranchers competitive events and the competitions at AFBF. And she's also taken the New York Animal Agriculture Coalition to new heights as its executive director. But despite all of that and all the great success that she's had, she's still wanting to learn more. She's still wanting to better herself, to better her craft, and just be a great communicator all around and really improve her advocacy efforts. And Farm Bureau is really helping her do that. Today, we talked to Eileen about what's called the PAL program. We're going to learn about what she's learned about herself and also how others can take part in this program too. Here's the conversation. Welcome to News Bytes. In fact, this is the second time we've spoken to you. Previously, it was at the State Fair in the middle of the Dairy Cow Birthing Center that you're in charge of for the New York Animal Ag Coalition. Now we're talking to you about an entirely different and exciting experience that you have. So welcome back to News Bytes.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me, and I'm excited to talk to you today about what's been going on.
So, to say that farming is important to you is a drastic understatement. It's who you are personally, professionally. You work with farmers through NIAC. Talk a little bit about your background and your passion for agriculture.
So, Steve, I was born and raised on a dairy farm in the Finger Lakes here in New York State, and you're exactly right. Farming was in my roots. It's in my blood, and to be fully honest and transparent, I tried to get away from it for a short period of time in college, and it really sucked me back in because agriculture is a way of life for my family. And, I'm very honored to be able to work with farmers every single day, be part of Farm Bureau, be part of organizations that really help farmers continue to do better. Help farmers do more in their communities, because that's where my passion lies. So having a family, growing up with my family involved in agriculture has really helped me become who I am personally and professionally today in the industry.
So one of the things that I always admire about you is you're always looking to learn and try something different. And you've been involved in Farm Bureau for many years. You're active in the Young Farmer and Ranchers program. You took part in the Women's Communication Boot Camp through American Farm Bureau to just learn how to be a better communicator and work with the media and whatnot. And then you chose to take on the PAL program, which is a very exciting and interesting program. What got you involved in the program, and what is that program all about?
For me, I really stuck with a saying that someone told me one time was, you need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And for me, that means doing something out of my comfort zone, doing something out of the ordinary, looking for those opportunities that might be off the beaten path, if you will. And that's exactly what those were for me. It was the Young Farmer program. It was the Women's Communications Boot Camp. It was the PAL program. So I chose to apply for the PAL program, the Partners in Advocacy Leadership program, 2 years ago with American Farm Bureau, because I knew it was going to be a challenge. I knew it was not going to be easy for me. I knew it was going to be a lot of work, but I also looked at the opportunities that it would bring to me professionally, personally, into my ag network. And that was really the deciding factor for me to apply and have really reached my goals the past couple of years. It has opened a lot of opportunities and a lot of doors for me.
So what really is the mission of Partners in Advocacy Leadership for PAL, as we're calling it? What really is the mission, and what's the goal that really enticed you to want to apply?
So I moved back here to New York State after traveling and living out in the Midwest about 8 or 9 years ago. And for me, I wanted to become more involved in New York agriculture. And so I joined the Young Farmers and Ranchers Committee, the state committee. And once I aged out of that, I had a big question mark in my mind of what's next? What is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? And that's really where the PAL program comes into play. is the PAL program takes current advocates, people that have already started on their journey of developing their story and helping others and being a positive advocate, and it really accelerates you to the next level. And that's exactly what it's done. The program has challenged me in ways that other leadership programs have not. And that's why I think it's really benefited me personally, professionally, in what I do every single day. So it's a program that takes advocates that are just trying to figure out what's next. And that could be in media relations. It could be in policy development. It could be working with stakeholders. And it really helps you build your path to what's next and becoming a positive advocate.
We're lucky in New York. We have what's called Lead New York through Cornell, a professional and leadership development program for folks in ag and in the food industry. Both of us have gone through that program. It's a great program. This almost seems like it's similar in a way. It's professional development, but like you said, it kind of takes that advocacy component to a new level. Give us an example or a few examples of things that you did as part of this program, because I know it pairs up. There's about a dozen of you from across the country that were in the previous class.
Yeah, so we are the 11th class that American Farm Bureau has had. So we are PAL Class 11. There's 10 of us from 10 different states across the country in a variety of parts of the industry. We have dairy farmers, we have cattle ranchers, we have ag teachers that are also beef farmers. We have a custom harvest operator that her husband run in the Midwest. So, and we have someone that works with sweet potatoes in North Carolina. So we kind of cover every gamut of agriculture, but the best part about this program is we've learned from each other. It's really been that network. But as a core question of how does it differ from Lead New York, for me, it was the implementation of hands-on engagement. In the PAL program, we are given a lot of scenarios and we are given a lot of assignments that we have to implement in front of our class, with each other, in teams, and we are given on-site feedback right then and there. And you have to fix what you're working on, whether it be a speech or a presentation, and you have to do it again. And then there's a lot more feedback, and then you do it again. And so there's a lot of practice, and that is one of the biggest benefits that I saw in this program is that you honestly are put through the ringer, but you come out so much better and so much more confident on the other side in telling your story and in talking about the topic at hand. That's one of the biggest differences that I saw between my experience in Lead New York and my experience in the PAL program. So
it's a 2-year program, and there are different sessions, correct? And would you have to travel, or would you get together via Zoom?
Yeah. So, yes, there's a couple different sessions. So I was accepted into the program in April of 2022. And then in June of 2022, the class met for the first time in New York City. And New York City was the hub for us to learn about media, advocacy in the media. And so we did a lot of media training, print, TV, radio training, and how do you tell your story very succinctly and get your point across. We met with editors at the Wall Street Journal. We did scavenger hunts around New York City to learn about food and production and talk to consumers. Funny story is that I'd like to tell is that first session in New York City, I was partnered up with Russ, who is a dairy farmer from Utah. And Russ loves to talk to consumers, which is great. I was scared to death. And we were partnered up on this scavenger hunt going across New York City. And we ended up at a grocery store in the dairy aisle to talk to strangers about their purchases of food. And Russ was on it, man. He was awesome. And I was not talking to a single person. Fast forward 2 years later, and I have no problem doing that. Not a single problem talking to a stranger, a customer, a consumer of food, of dairy products, because that's what this program has done, is it has built that confidence that I do know what I'm talking about. So that was really fun in New York City. After that, we went to Washington, D.C. for 4 or 5 days where we learned about advocacy and policy development. And so how does policy get developed from the grassroots? But then how do we take it one step further? And how do we then go advocate for that policy as advocates in our state or in D.C.? And then our third session was stakeholders. We traveled to St. Louis, Missouri, and the 10 of us learned how to work with stakeholders in agriculture. Now, that might mean stakeholders that are on your side, but it also meant, how do you learn about the other side of the story? And so we talked a lot for 2 years about the Farm Bill. We talked a lot about climate change and sustainability. So tough topics. And we learned about, in the stakeholders session, we learned about the opposition and what are they thinking and why are they thinking that? So that's a really key part of learning as well, is what do others think about the topic that you are really passionate about.
So,
and then following St. Louis, we headed to an international trip where we learned about these topics internationally as well.
Which I definitely want to touch on, but quickly kind of jumping back to the other side, if you will. What is something that maybe you learned that Farm Bureau members or farmers, can learn from your experience of how to listen and how to engage with people that you don't always agree with, or just see things through a different lens?
Yeah, it's really important to use your ears and your mouth in that ratio. We're given 2 ears for a reason, and we have to listen. And we hope that they do the same when it's our turn to talk and our turn to share. Our side of the story is that they're going to listen as well. But for me, it was learning that food is the one thing that we all have in common. And it was really learning how to find those shared values with the opposition, and how can you both come to the table with a common goal. And that common goal for us was learning about the Farm Bill and sharing the Farm Bill and how it all relates back to food and providing a healthy, safe food product for people in our communities. And that's really what our opposition assignments were focused on, is what's that common goal? And that common goal is providing food. And that's what we do as farmers. Well,
in your advocacy, in talking about the Farm Bill, is at a perfect time. I mean, we're in the midst of those discussions. The 2018 Farm Bill expired last year. There was an extension. Hopefully we'll get something this year, fingers crossed, because that Farm Bill is crucial to risk management tools and environmental programs and research dollars, and as well as food access. So there really is so much that we need in a Farm Bill. And I'll put you to the test then. Let's put your training to the test on the Farm Bill. Why do we need a strong Farm Bill for our farmers?
I think one of the main reasons that we need a strong Farm Bill for our farmers is because they are producing the food that we eat every single day. And with, take that out of the equation. If we didn't have the farmers and we didn't allow them the access that they need to specific programs to produce healthy and safe food, where would our country be? Where would our communities be? And when we look at the opposition too, they want healthy food. And so it all boils back down to, our farmers need the access to programs to allow them to, produce the food efficiently, effectively, while taking care of their people on their farms and their communities. So I think it all boils down to access to programs that allow farmers to do what they do every single day.
Very, very well said. Your training, you get an A+. So you had said that you did an international study trip and you went to Chile with your group. What did you learn on that? Like, what's the focus of traveling abroad to learn about agriculture?
So I like to think about traveling internationally as think globally and act locally. And for me, I love traveling internationally. I love traveling all across the country and learning about agriculture. Chile opened up our eyes for all of us that went to the similarities and differences in another country to what we have here in the United States. One of the key similarities is that farmers are always dealing with neighbor issues, no matter where you are in the world.
It's true.
we visited a dairy farm one afternoon in South Chile, and it was phenomenal. They rolled out the red carpet for us. The Americans are here. They were amazing. They invited neighbors over. They invited their veterinarian, their nutritionists, just like we would, for a farm visit over here. the interesting thing that I had, I was talking with their seed salesman, and I was talking about challenges that they have. And this farm is located at the base of a volcano, and there's a beautiful lake, and then there's a town right nearby, and they deal with urban sprawl. They deal with manure smells, the same challenges that we deal with here in the United States. So it was really interesting that farmers everywhere are dealing with the same challenges and trying to just do what's right to produce healthy and safe food for all of us. So Chile opened up our eyes to a lot of things. The culture, the fact that, as I've mentioned, that food is the center of everything that we do as farmers and as consumers.
It's great that you can learn from people around the world, people you may not even speak the same language, and that's fascinating to have that opportunity. And that's a really important part of the PAL program, is it does open those doors to explore new cultures and new ways of doing things that you can bring back to New York. I mean, is there something there that you learned that you've shared with farmers here or with other, advocates here in New York State?
I think a key part of bringing something back is that you're not alone, is that, telling a farmer here in New York that you're not the only one facing this challenge, or you're not the only one that gets excited about this topic, that there are farmers way beyond, our borders of New York and our borders of our country that are dealing with the same thing. And so let's learn from them. One of the things we talked about a lot was climate change, and how are farmers in Chile dealing with climate change. And they have the same challenges that we do here in New York. And so it's coming up with solutions, and it's coming up with how do we then talk about those solutions. And we're doing the same things right here in New York. So I think a key thing is making sure farmers know that they're not alone in facing challenges, but also coming to the table with solutions, which is what our farmers focus on too.
Absolutely. They're very looking forward and how they can do better, be better. And that's critical, I think, to farming today. You had mentioned that your classmates come from all over the country, and I'm sure that's also a great selling point of the PAL program, is that network that you now have that doesn't stop once the class is over. How important is that part of this program to you?
It's almost the most important part, I would say. And I think it's going to be the most important part of it when after we graduate here in a couple of weeks, because they are the other 9 people that really keep us all together. We talk every single day. We have group texts, we have emails, we have book clubs, we have, we have things going on with the 10 of us and spouses of some folks, far beyond the curriculum of the PAL program. So for me, I really enjoy learning about other states and other aspects of agriculture. And so it's a goal of mine to go visit some of these PALs in my life. And I want to learn about ranching in Idaho from Jason. I want to go to Arizona and learn what cattle ranching is from Ben. I don't know a lot about sweet potatoes. I want to go visit Heather in North Carolina. And so, I've never seen a custom harvester. So I want to go and visit Laura and her family, where they travel from Texas all the way to the Canadian border, harvesting wheat. So I think learning from each other allows us to continue to develop our own story and help each other develop our stories. And that's one exciting thing, is we are not 10 people that are not afraid to tell each other how to do better, how to strive for more. We build each other up each and every day.
That's marvelous. So there's so many things that are enticing about this program: the skill set you learn, the travel opportunities, the network that's provided to you. What would you say to someone who's thinking about the program? So we are in the middle of the application process now. And if you don't do it this time around, there are future opportunities, in the coming years as well. What would you say to someone who may be on the fence about taking this leap?
I would say jump and jump feet first, which is exactly what I did. And I would also say don't listen to the naysayers. There were some people when I first applied that questioned, why are you doing another leadership program? Why are you doing another thing? Why are you adding more to your list? For me, I want to keep busy, but I also want to continue to push myself. This program has built my confidence level more than any other program has. Part of building that was that network of 9 other people. Part of building that was the staff at American Farm Bureau that pushed me out of my comfort zone. It was new networks. It was new people. It was new experiences that allowed me to build that confidence, but also to build my story. I really struggled with imposter syndrome. I don't live on a farm every day. I can't go out to the barn and get photos and do live videos and talk directly from the farm. I struggled with that. This program has helped me realize that you don't have to live on the farm every single day to be a positive advocate for the industry. This program has helped me become an advocate for Farm Bureau in different ways. It's helped me become an advocate locally. I have a monthly article that I write. So I have a monthly column in our local paper all about agriculture. It's any topic I want. And so I've built relationships with key people that can help me continue my advocacy story.
And I'm sure it's helped you as the executive director of NIAC as well, because communication is a central focus of NIAC's job of talking about and promoting animal agriculture in New York.
When I moved back here to New York about 8 years ago and took this job here at NIAC, I struggled with, I'm not on the farm. I struggled with that imposter syndrome. I struggled with my confidence. And this program helps me continue to build that up. And so I'm able to serve the farmers here in New York better. I'm able to provide them more confidently, more efficiently, that what they need, because I too am trying to tell my advocacy story and be an advocate for agriculture. And I'm trying to help them do this same thing every single day on their farm. So when I'm able to do it better, I'm able to help the farmers even more.
So what's the application process like to be a part of PAL?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, Steve, we are in the middle of the application period right now. Applications are due March 25th. And it's a written application. There's, questions about what are your goals in agriculture? What are the challenges that are facing the agriculture industry? There's questions about what have you done? So as I said, this is not for an 18-year-old that is just starting out in college. This is more for somebody that has kind of been around with some different programs, has been involved in Farm Bureau, has been involved in their community for quite a few years, and just trying to figure out what's next and how do I take my advocacy journey to the next level. So it's a 4-page application with some questions about your involvement and what do you want to do in the future and how do you think this program can help you as an individual and as an advocate. And then there's an interview. So I interviewed with a couple of people from American Farm Bureau on Zoom back in 2022. So there is an interview process, and then they select the 10 people from across the country that will be represented in the next class.
Well, I'm so glad that you were one of the 10. And as you mentioned a few minutes ago, you're about to graduate in a few weeks, going to Omaha for the it's during the Young Farmer Conference, and I'm sure that will be a bit of an emotional time. You're all together again, all 10 of you, and it's the end of this road, but it's not the end of the journey.
Yeah, it's bittersweet. The 10 of us have been talking quite a bit about what's next for us already as a class, but also as individuals. And there's really there's difference makers in this group of 10. There are people that are on the state board in their own states. There are people that are running committees. They're running their farms. They are testifying, in their capitals and making a difference. And I don't see that ever stopping. And so we will graduate in Omaha at the Young Farmer Conference. The really bittersweet thing for me is my class selected me as the graduation speaker to talk to all of the YFNR participants about this program, about what it's meant to me over the last 2 years. So I'm really honored that my class chose me to represent them and to represent all of us at our graduation. And we'll be giving some workshops. So all of us, kind of our last assignment is we will be leading some workshops for all the participants to come join us and celebrate being an advocate in agriculture.
Well, congratulations and best of luck on the speech. And we hope you have a great time there. And, look forward to other New Yorkers being a part of this program as well. That clearly you've shared so many positive things about the program and how it can help folks. So, fingers crossed, more people will apply. And thanks so much for sharing your experience.
Absolutely, Steve. And I really have to give a big shout out to Farm Bureau, American Farm Bureau, but also New York Farm Bureau, for the support and for helping me continue this advocacy journey. And, the corporate sponsors, the Farm Credit and Bayer couldn't have made any of this possible without their support, because it really comes down to their financial support to allow the 10 of us to have this opportunity. So it's been a great 2 years. And as you said, it's not over yet. We're excited to see what's next in New York agriculture.
Amen. We're excited to see your role in that as well. Thanks so much, Eileen.
Thanks, Steve.
Now, if you want to learn more about the PAL program, just go to the American Farm Bureau Federation's website at fb.org and then search for PAL. Again, applications for the next class close on March 26th. Well, thanks for listening to today's podcast. Feel free to like us and give us a positive rating wherever you download podcasts. Also, we appreciate Seth Moser-Katz for editing today's episode. Until next time, make sure you thank a farmer for all that they do.